Hello, welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to be ranking all of my Gourmande Girl palettes. I have 7, if I can count. I was going to say 6, but there's actually 4 of these rectangular ones, so that would be 7. So yeah, if you want to see where I put all of these, then stick around. If you're new, welcome. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't already, and let's jump into the video. I was actually surprised at some of my ranking, but you may not be, so let me know what you think my #1 palette is going to be down below before we get started. And yeah, let's jump in. So at the bottom in number 7, and none of these are bad, I'm not going to declutter any of these, but when you have a ranking, something has to be last, is the Secret Grove. This was a launch that they did for fall, and I got this in the Ice Cream Beauty box, and it wasn't an exclusive, so you could purchase it on their website. Comes with 2 multi-chromes, and then the rest are mattes. The shadows in here were a little bit dry, like my brown one came cracked. Thankfully it wasn't completely shattered, but I like the color story. I think they did a good job for fall, and they did a good job as far as like theming, so it goes with like the mushroom fairy village vibe. It's just not a palette that I've reached for a whole lot. I think I've used it once. It looks like I used the brown, the burgundy, a little bit of the green. So I did use it, but I just haven't been compelled to reach for it again. So this is one that I could potentially see decluttering in the future. I really like this shade here called Bewitching, but it doesn't necessarily go. It's got a very like purpley undertone with some of the shades really well, but again, it's not a bad formula. The formula in it is fine. It's just not my favorite color story per se. At 6 is, this is another one that I got in the Ice Cream Beauty box. This is with Gourmande Girls and Cosmic Peaches. She did 2 palettes with them for the Ice Cream Beauty box, and this, I liked that I got this one. This is why I signed up for Ice Cream Beauty, because I wanted one of these palettes. And I really was hoping for the grungy one. I just haven't reached for it, and it could be like when I got it, I didn't have a lot of time. I may use it more this fall, but as of right now, I have not used it. I've just swatched it, but I really like this color story, so I'm hoping maybe this fall I'll be compelled to reach for it more. And it's a smaller palette. Like I probably need to put it in my top drawer with my smaller palettes, because I honestly forgot that I owned it because it got lost in one of my bigger drawers. One that I actually had for a long time, and again, this is why I signed up for the Ice Cream Beauty bag, because this was in their October bag. So for $16, you got the palette, which this is like a $45 palette. I actually really like this. I've used it with my Strawberry Shortcake palette from Glamlight. It is a really pretty color story. I like the pop of blue. I like this kind of duochrome white shade in Tears. Very, very pretty. So I've used this more than I initially thought I was going to. My mother-in-law was diagnosed last summer with breast cancer, so she's good right now. She had surgeries, gone through radiation, all that, but that is why I wanted to get this palette. So, and they did donate a portion of the bag sales that month to breast cancer, I believe. So then, what is that? 7, 6, 5, 4. I have the Spooked palette. I did not like the mattes in this palette when I first got it, but I have come around. I like Gourmande Girls, obviously, because I've acquired several palettes since then. I really like using a white base. So I have the Gerard Clean Canvas in white. So that is typically that primer that I use with all of the Gourmande Girls palettes. And I get really good color payoff. I don't have issues blending. They're more pigmented, because with a regular, like the Milani eyeshadow, I didn't feel like these mattes were as pigmented as they could be, but with the white base, I don't have any issues. So I think some of it was finding the right primer, because not everything works with every primer. So now that I have found that out, I like their formula better. But this is a really cool Halloween color story. I like that this is a little more of what you would think of a traditional Halloween palette with a little bit of a twist. Like the pink is really cool. There's some really fun duochromes like Pumpkin and Spirit. Like Spirit doesn't look like a duochrome, but it is. It does have a shift. It's got like a pinky. I don't know if it's going to show on camera, but it's really neat. It's a very interesting shade. Pumpkin's also a cool duochrome. Trick is also, like, there's just some really pretty like shades in here. Maybe I'm thinking of Trick. The two golds in here actually have a little bit of a shift to them. Like, you can kind of see the shift now that I've touched it more, but they don't, like, upon first look like they would have a shift to them, but they do. And they're really pretty on the eyes. So I like this palette more than I did when I initially got it. And it's a really fun color story. Counting backwards is hard. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. Okay, 3. My newest palette, I ended up picking up the Nightshade. They were retiring this. She had like 40 palettes left. I was able to get one before they sold out. So I did use this palette on Easter. It's very purple. You've got a couple pops of green, but it's very purple. And I don't wear purple a ton. I've been trying to get into it more recently, but I like their formula, and their duochromes are really neat. Flowering is this yellow. I use that on my eyelids, and it's really, really pretty and interesting. So I had a lot of fun using this, and that's the only reason. Spooked and Nightshade could be interchangeable as far as position that they're in, but as for ranking purposes, I put them where they're at. But these could be in the same spot because I like them equally. Spooked could be a little bit more, like, it's hard, but just know these two could be in the same spot at number 3. Number 2, and it is just because of time of year, I've been really into like brighter eyes. So I have a newer palette. What is this called? Nueva Vida. This is in collaboration with Steph's Beauty Stash. Just a really pretty color story. I like that you can go darker with it. You've got like a navy, a berry shade, and a dark brown, and then you've got like these, they look pastel-y, but they're very neon-y. So again, all 3 of these could probably change position depending on time of year, and I'm just liking this one a little bit more because we're in like spring and summer. And then at number 1 is the Haunted, and I did not expect to like this so much over Spooked. They do play really well together. Like, they are good companion palettes to one another, like sister palettes. You can definitely use them together. See if I can hold them up. There we go. Yeah, you can definitely use them together, but they are good standalones. I like that there's a black in both. I like Spooked a little bit more in the sense that there's a white in here, which is helpful, but having both of them, I can use the white. Just because this one, that's the only, this doesn't go super light. There is a khaki in here that's very similar to the one that's in the Spooked palette. It's Cursed in Haunted, and then it's Scream in here. So the shade down here at the bottom, very similar. That's probably one of the only ones that's almost like the exact same shade other than the black, but I used this palette 3 or 4 times this past fall, which is a lot for me for a brand new palette. So that should say something. The greens in here are different than the shimmery green in Apple Bob. These ones I feel are like, this limey green is a lot more sparkly, and then both of the other greens are just metallic, but they're different tones. But yeah, I really, really like this. Again, I used it 3 times when I got it, so really, really happy that I have it. I'm curious to see if they do another Halloween palette, but yeah, those are all of my Gourmande Girls palettes. Were you expecting to see Haunted in number 1? Like I said, I used this a ton when I first got it, which is saying a lot about the color story. And then I did use Spooked more this past season just because I had not a great experience the first time, but again, I had just had a baby. I think I was using a different primer with it. There was all sorts of things going on. So I have since come around, and I do really like their formula now, and their shimmer formula is outstanding. They have some really neat multi-chromes, duochromes, really, really fun eyeshadows. So yeah, let me know what you would put in number 1, or if like yours was the same, and which one would you put at the bottom out of the ones that I have. The only one that I'm missing is the Silent Night palette, which I am on the fence about getting, even though it looks like almost identical to the Christmas Eve palette from Odin's Eye, which I own, but I kind of like the completionist in me wants to have all of them. So I'm trying to refrain, but yeah, thank you guys so much. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Again, make sure you are subscribed if you're not already, and hopefully I will see you in another video. Bye everybody.